all of the young people that we've worked with have been self-referred, so been told about, us and what we do by other people that are in the group. And one young person that we met came down, obviously very boisterous, a lot of energy there. And as we got to know them, and they continued to come to the sessions, we found out a little bit about, what their challenges were. And, they slipped into gang activities and, there's a lot of pressures at school, and this particular person's journey was that they felt the need to kind of man up and be the big man, to be bigger than the other guys in the school. And that meant, getting involved in criminal activities to show that he was, bigger and stronger and tougher than the other guys. And, we met them, and just after we met them, they got excluded from school, permanently excluded for stealing equipment. And him and his friend were taken out of the school system, and for 8 months we worked with them while they were out of school. He got arrested a few weeks after his exclusion, and was caught on a bus with a pretty nasty looking knife, and went through the youth offending team process and court process, and we supported him and his family during that time, and went to court with him, the character references and so on. What we found was the most use with this young person in particular was finding what his story was and hearing it, letting him voice it, and just being there to witness him and his journey and to acknowledge it, acknowledge the challenges that he'd been going through, and also the frustrations and the choices that he made. It was a great reflection for him. Where he's at now is he's back in school, mainstream school. He's doing well. He's incredibly intelligent. He's able to control himself and his reactions to things he finds difficult a lot better. And he's beginning to allow people to support him more, which was a really big process for him. So that's one example of a young person whose life has been really supported and, you could say, improved through working with us. Another young person, as a young lady who's just having intense domestic issues, at home. I won't go into the details, but they, there was abuse and a history of, lots of different sorts of abuse. And this was having a detrimental effect to her school life and her education, and also her mental health. It pushed her to the limit. She was, at a point where she couldn't see a way out. Now, she joined the girls group and immediately just started unloading all of this stuff, of her frustrations and challenges and tensions and pain and hurt that she'd been holding on to for a long time. And that started out to be a very cathartic process for her to let go of that. It's a space where she could do that. For whatever reason, that she didn't find any other space to do that in her life. This was a space where she felt safe around her peers and the youth workers, where she felt able to do that. And over a period, we were able to find ways in which she could deal with some of her challenges and strengthen her, in herself, some of her more personal issues. And we've watched, over the last year, as her kind of personal development process unfolds in the girls group and through the support she's been getting, she's happy in herself. She still has a really challenging life. Her home life is still quite chaotic, and social services is involved and all the rest of it. But she's in herself. She's a lot more settled, and she's a lot more confident in her ability to respond to those challenges. She's created fantastic social networks in the group as well, and people hold each other, in their strength and confidence. So that's been important. So yeah, I mean those are two examples. I mean there's a lot more. You know, today, for example, we've had over and above 40 young people come through the doors. Each one of them has their own story. Some are more severe than others. Some are right now going through challenges. Like the riots. One of them was involved in riots. Is currently going through a court process. Another one's on the verge of being taken out of school. He's got some serious anger management challenges. So there's ongoing challenges, and we never know what's going to happen next. And as youth workers and support mechanism for these young people, we deal with what we're presented with, and what we've created is a relationship with the young people that we work with, and a reputation, a trust, so that when there is an issue, they come to us. And they say, look, this is my problem. I want help with it. I need help with it. I want to overcome this issue. And how can I go about doing it? And it's that very common sense based methodology that has made us as successful and as popular as we are now. The charity that we were running the project through ran out of funding, and we, as a group of youth workers, have come together and we're developing a new organisation so that we can get some more funding to continue to work. For the last 8 weeks, we've been volunteering, spending our own money to get here, spending our own money on food, spending our own money on the venue, and that's really unsustainable. And we've been putting out to the community, local community, our friends and family to support, which has been great. And that's coming through. But yeah, it's been tough. For the last 8 months, funding's been really tough. You've been coming in from Cardiff to London for God knows how long, like a year on and off, or more, 2 years maybe, a coach from Cardiff to London, it just says something about, you as a human being, your character, and your commitment, man, and how much this group means to you, and they get that, So I think there's a lot that we put in as youth workers, you could say above and beyond the call of duty. Situation demands it. Could we have been cleverer with our money? We were putting in the funding applications and they weren't coming back. Fact is that it's a very tough financial environment for people working in our field, youth workers and youth work. So it's tough. It's tough. The question, it begs the question: is the service necessary? Is the service important? Just take this as case in point. If we hadn't been there for the young man that I was talking about, then he would probably be in prison now. I think he'd agree with that. I think his mum would probably agree with that. He was already in the court system. That one case would have saved the judicial system and, the society, God knows how many tens of thousands of pounds. If we make just a few interventions with just a few young people, then we're saving society tens of thousands of pounds. The cost of the service that we provide, what we ask for, is minuscule in comparison. The skill and the experience and the expertise that we as youth workers bring to the young people is dramatically undervalued. The impact that it has on us in our own lives, and the challenges that it can result in us doing the work that we do, is often overseen. It's a tough time. There's not much more that you can do. You can't force the government, you can't force society to value us the same way they value, say the bankers, for example, or the politicians. But even if the funding isn't there, what I've learned is that we will keep coming. We will keep coming. All of us are, on very low incomes elsewhere, but we keep coming. And there's something about the group that, because we've been working with them for so long, been working with them for 3 years, some of the young people that come down have been with us for 3 years, they rely on us. They rely on us to be there. And, you know, for us to step back at this point, it's not on the cards. It's not an option. When you've had that level of human experience and relationship with somebody, and you know how reliant they are, and how much they value that support, how much they're getting from it. You know, it's not something that you wash your hands of very easily, and you wouldn't want to. I mean, hey, it feels great to be valued and appreciated, you know, to that level, even though they might not always say it, you know. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm very passionate about my work. I think we all are. You know, it would be great if we, you know, had a little bit of funds to support us so that we can, you know, continue doing it, to grow it the way we want to.